This is CNN.
Medical research on fetal tissue. It is the focus of a new presidential action and another round in the battle over abortion. And did one gunman kill John F. Kennedy, or was there a conspiracy? Two doctors who conducted the autopsy make their opinions public for the first time.
This is CNN's Prime News, taking the time to examine world events, issues, and newsmakers, with Bernard Shaw in Washington and Susan Rook in Atlanta.
Thank you for joining us. Bernard Shaw is on assignment tonight. We begin with a national and political controversy, pitting the interests of medical research against the interest of abortion opponents. President Bush today ordered the government to set up fetal tissue banks for research. But as CNN's Carl Rochelle reports, tissue from induced abortions would be barred.
Medical researchers use fetal tissue in their search for cures for illnesses from diabetes to Parkinson's disease. But the Fetal Research Tissue Bank approved by President Bush limits the tissue to miscarriages or tubal pregnancies and specifically excludes tissue from induced abortions. Some researchers say that handicaps their efforts.
The tissue from spontaneously occurring abortions and from ectopic pregnancies is neither safe nor easy to obtain. This tissue is very often genetically abnormal, is very commonly infected, and could carry subtle infections such as the AIDS virus.
Congress is trying to overturn a 1988 Reagan administration ban forbidding the use of tissue from induced abortions in research funded by federal tax dollars. Advocates of fetal research believe the medical debate has become a political battle.
The moratorium on fetal tissue for the past 4 or 5 years hasn't robbed my dad and millions of other people possible medical breakthroughs is unjust and not true. It simply has stopped research.
Supporters of the president's position say it is not a question of medical research.
Those who want to lift the moratorium have tried to make the point that this is not an abortion issue. They've tried to persuade pro-life members that they can vote for this and still be regarded as pro-life. But in fact, that's not the case.
We don't want to move in a Frankenstein mode where we're trying to create things by moving parts from one body to the other.
Some anti-abortion advocates in Congress disagree.
If this is going to help humanity, why not do it? What could be the objection to it?
The Senate has passed by a veto-proof margin a bill lifting the moratorium. The House is scheduled to vote on the issue this week. The president, who has threatened to veto it, clearly hopes the executive order will make a veto unnecessary. Carl Rochelle, CNN, the White House.
Two doctors who performed the autopsy on John F. Kennedy are breaking a wall of silence to tell the world they are convinced the president was killed by a lone gunman, just as the Warren Commission concluded some 3 decades ago. Pathologists James Humes and J. Thornton Boswell spoke to the Journal of the American Medical Association. A journal editor spoke to reporters today.
I can state without concern or question my agreement with Doctors Humes and Boswell that President Kennedy was struck and killed by 2 and only 2 bullets fired from one high-velocity rifle. Both bullets struck from behind. No other bullets struck the president. A single assassin fired both bullets. The eyewitness accounts and the scientific forensic evidence are indisputable.
The pathologists apparently came forward because they were angry about the movie JFK, which depicts the assassination as a broad conspiracy. A House committee chairman got the jump on the Justice Department today and released a draft of its report on police brutality complaints across the United States. CNN's Bob Franken has details.
This most famous of all videotapes, the Rodney King police beating tape, created, among other things, a demand in Congress for a nationwide study of police brutality. In response, the Justice Department has accumulated a ranking of major police jurisdictions from number 1 to number 131. This was a compilation of complaints to federal authorities only. The dubious honor of being number 1 went to the New Orleans Police Department, which averaged 35 complaints annually over a 6-year period. Los Angeles County was second. Los Angeles City Police, who made the infamous King arrest, were number 11. But the congressional leader who requested the report calls the document a major disappointment.
This report represents a minimal effort by the Department of Justice, which just doesn't seem to want to find out how much police abuse is a blight in our nation.
House Government Operations Committee Chairman John Conyers complained the analysis left out important information, such as the race of both the police officers and those who filed brutality charges against them. As officials around the country absorbed the results, the chief of the Dallas Police Department, number 13 on the list, had this response.
You cannot abuse people and be a police officer, period. And when everybody gets that message and goes about their work without abusing people, then we're well on our way. But I don't think that study says anything about this area of the country. It doesn't say anything about law enforcement in general. It just says it's a poor study.
The Justice Department intends to hold release until this fall of the final study. The spokesperson emphasized this was just preliminary and said, "We are concerned this report will be misinterpreted or misunderstood." Meanwhile, Conyers complains the Bush administration's Justice Department is unwilling to do a comprehensive study.
They don't want to disturb their relationship between law enforcement at the local level. They're all law enforcement agents.
The determined optimists expressed hope that out of the Rodney King confrontation might come a determination to tackle police brutality. In Washington, so far, it seems to be producing politics as usual. Bob Franken, CNN, Capitol Hill.
In Thailand, the bloodshed goes on as troops continue to battle pro-democracy protesters. Thousands of protesters were arrested when troops stormed a hotel where wounded and frightened protesters had taken refuge. Thailand's prime minister says a crackdown is needed to weed out communists. To protest the violence, the U.S. has canceled a military exercise with Thailand and extended the suspension of most economic aid. Still ahead on Prime News next, a sudden change of direction in housing construction. It points to whether it's a slow or fast recovery. Then ahead, at 30 minutes past the hour, a search and destroy operation against drugs in South Florida. The military moves in to help bulldoze crack houses. And at 55 minutes past, a Washington man tries to be part of the solution, not the problem. He helps youngsters nail together a trade.
Prime News is brought to you by Lincoln Mercury and the complete line of Lincolns and Mercuries.
Many believe it was the innovative spirit of Europe that inspired him. And when Mr. Ford came home, he created Lincoln Continental. Today, with computerized suspension, electronic transmission and anti-lock brakes, Continental is one of the most advanced automobiles in the world. Lincoln Continental, what a luxury car should be.
What if we could make all the clean air and water we need?
What if there was enough food for everyone?
What if we understood the aging process?
What if we cared so much about education we made the most of every mind?
What if research in space made life better on Earth?
We're helping to build Space Station Freedom, the next step in space exploration, and a new way to look at the home planet.
In recent years, doctors have discovered a flaw in eggs. They're extremely high in cholesterol, and a diet high in cholesterol and fat can contribute to the risk of heart disease. Nutritionists at Fleischmann's have found a way to overcome this flaw with Fleischmann's Egg Beaters, the only one that's 99% real egg with zero cholesterol and zero saturated fat. Next time you love an egg, crack open a carton. Fleischmann's Egg Beaters, the great tasting egg without a flaw.
Spray and Wash Stain Stick has an enzyme formula that eats at the jams and jellies of the day as soon as you put it on. Then you can wait up to a week to wash. That's how Stain Stick gets out what America gets into.
The verdict was announced, the people reacted, and now efforts are underway. They're going to retry a lone police officer. Can Lawrence Powell get a fair trial? Join us tonight, 9 Eastern on CNN.
Home construction in the United States last month posted its biggest monthly decline in more than 8 years. Cause for alarm or just part of a seesaw economic recovery? That story from CNN's David French in Washington.
Just yesterday, President Bush was telling home builders their industry was pulling America right out of the recession.
And the old adage is coming true. As housing goes, so goes the economy.
Maybe truer than he wanted. When the sun came up, the rosy glow was off houses. April housing starts dropped 17% for the largest drop in 8 years. No region of the nation escaped. It was worst in the Midwest, where housing starts were off more than 30%.
We're concerned about this. We've seen a real slowdown in the marketplace out there. The first part of 1992 was good for housing, but there's a slowdown going on throughout the country, and we think that that is an indication that we ought to be doing something about it.
Two factors combined to hurt home builders in April. First, the exceptionally warm winter allowed many housing projects to get started in January and February rather than the spring. And secondly, something that could have been controlled, mortgage rates rose all during April. It scared people off. Now the workers who depend on buyer confidence are feeling shaky too.
In the last 2 weeks, it's really slowed down for us.
Industry analysts had expected a drop in April housing starts because for 4 months there had been sharp advances. In Dallas, a marketing executive for an appliance dealer has to take a longer view, and what he sees does not disappoint him.
Where the upper end houses are down, the middle are up, the low end is down. But summer should still be good. We have a lot of confidence. The economy is getting better, and the consumer confidence seems to be up.
The White House is calling the April figures an aberration, but the president may need to spread Lipsky's optimism to win in November. That may be hard to do in an election year with the Democrats running Congress. The president wants them to pass a $5,000 tax credit for first-time homebuyers. From the White House lawn, you could almost hear the yawn on Capitol Hill. David French, CNN, Washington.
The federal government has made a ruling on minivan dumping that could help U.S. automakers but cost American buyers. The Commerce Department said today Japanese makers, mainly Toyota and Mazda, are setting unfairly low prices for the vans. It says the prices run about 7 to 13% below fair value. The ruling could lead to stiff penalties, raising the price of Japanese minivans. Coming up next on Prime News, we'll tell you how the agony grew after a mother gave birth to a son without a brain, a fatal condition.
Want to win a free trip to Cancun, Keystone Resort, Hawaii, or Florida? Just find the Energizer Bunny. Not here, here, in specially marked packages of Energizer batteries. And you could win one of thousands of prizes, the Energizer Sweepstakes. If he's in there, you're out of here. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Must be 18 years or older to play. Entrance must be of human origin. Not applicable if used during a total eclipse of the sun.
At GMC Truck, we've seen days like this for over 80 years. And have learned the value of a van that gives you the most room in its class. The added safety of four-wheel anti-lock brakes. The traction of full-time all-wheel drive. And the feeling of security that can only come from a van that's built as strong as a truck. Safari from GMC Truck. More proof of the strength of experience.
Pip Printing suggests that before choosing a printer for your company, you take a moment to check their references. These are just a few of ours. Pip Printing. Give us a call. We'll show you why we're the biggest business printer in the world.
Campaign USA investigative reporters. Their job is to uncover the whole story. Ken Bodie, distinguished political reporter, writer, and editor. And Brooks Jackson, award-winning political reporter and author. Part of the most experienced team ever assembled to cover Campaign USA 92. Only on CNN.
The U.S.-Mexican border near Brownsville, Texas, is the site of a disturbing medical phenomenon. Dozens of babies have been born there without brains. It's a condition that's always fatal. Yesterday, we told you how some believe the problem is linked to pollution from nearby Mexican industry. Tonight, CNN Special Assignment correspondent Mark Feldstein reports on the plight of a mother forced to relive her nightmare over and over again.
Along the Rio Grande Valley of Texas, the air burns the lungs. The water is filthy. And babies have been dying.
They kept delivering these babies with no heads. The families felt that something horrible was happening to them.
I felt very bad. In fact, I didn't believe what he was telling me. We live with the fear of getting pregnant again, with the fear of knowing that this could happen again.
During the past 2 years, dozens of Texas mothers have watched helplessly as their babies have turned up dead. They were killed by a rare birth defect called anencephaly. Their babies were born without brains.
Everything else was there.
Except the brain. For Virginia Listman, the horror of giving birth to a brainless son was just the beginning. She also piled up thousands of dollars in hospital bills, which her insurance company has refused to pay. The reason? The company says Listman's treatment wasn't covered under her insurance plan.
I have received a letter from them that they want $8,000 and some odd dollars, a little over $8,000, paid to them.
The Listmans live with their 2 daughters in this mobile home in San Benito, Texas, less than 20 miles from the border with Mexico. Virginia Listman is a nurse's aide at a state hospital. Her husband, Tyson, is a carpenter. Do you have $8,000 to pay for this?
No. Being as how we had insurance, we thought we weren't prepared for this.
The Listmans have insurance, all right. Mrs. Listman is covered by a contract that Texas Employee Retirement System signed with Blue Cross Blue Shield, one of the largest insurance conglomerates in the nation. For more than 3 years, the Listmans have been paying Blue Cross $175 a month. But in the end, it made no difference.
It's just outrageous that they wouldn't provide this medically necessary care, and I think they're contractually obligated to pay for the care.
Amy Johnson is head of the Texas Office of Public Counsel, which represents insurance consumers. She's now investigating the Listman case.
This woman paid for her premiums. She paid for coverage, and now when she needs it, she's not getting it.
Manuel Guajardo is Virginia Listman's doctor.
I think it stinks. I think it's sad. I mean, this family has gone through enough. They've just the trauma of knowing that you had a child with a problem like that, and then on top of that, a year later, you're still fighting with the insurance about whether or not they were going to cover this expense.
At the center of the dispute, the decision by Listman's doctors to terminate her pregnancy by inducing premature labor. The doctors prescribed it after taking this sonogram, which showed that Listman's fetus had no brain.
Several doctors recommended that I terminate the pregnancy.
They told you that?
Yes.
That was a clear recommendation
Yes,
as you saw it?
Yes, it was.
This is an accepted medical therapy for this condition. What is the problem? It's no different than she developed an appendicitis or she developed a heart attack. They would have covered it.
The Texas Medical Association even wrote Blue Cross, pointing out that there is a total consensus that this is indeed the accepted medical therapy to be used in these situations. An official of the Texas Department of Health says the same thing.
That's the standard procedure. There's nothing that can be done.
That's why Teresa Salazar's doctors terminated her anencephalic pregnancy, and why Janet Ramirez's doctors did the same.
Did you feel you had any real choice?
No, they said it was no use for me to go the 9-month term because the baby wasn't going to live anyway.
Even Blue Cross officials acknowledge that this is the standard medical practice. Still, they refuse to pay for it. Company officials declined to be interviewed on camera. Off camera, they told us that paying Virginia Listman's medical bills would violate their insurance contract with her employer. Why? Because the contract has an anti-abortion clause that prohibits what it calls voluntary interruptions of pregnancy. The Listmans say they, too, are against abortion, that it was anything but voluntary.
We did what we had to do, not what we wanted to do. But what it would have done to my wife, knowing what was inside of her, and yet going full term the other 6 months. That would have been torture.
There was nothing there. There wasn't even a fourth of the brain there. Nothing there. And how can somebody survive without a brain?
And Blue Cross is saying that woman has a choice, and her choice is to ignore what her doctor says and carry a dead baby to term? That's not a choice.
Not only that, Blue Cross also refused to pay Mrs. Listman's doctor for treating other Blue Cross patients. Blue Cross claimed Dr. Guajardo owed money, which it had mistakenly sent him for her care. But Blue Cross's decision not to pay for other patients of Dr. Guajardo came after the doctor wrote Blue Cross, expressing his disgust and anger with the insurance company.
I find that very disturbing. But the doctors have right now signed contracts that allows Blue Cross to do that.
Doesn't that give Blue Cross a lot of leverage to silence these doctors?
Darn right.
The state of Texas could have used its leverage over Blue Cross if it wanted to. But for months, the state agency involved didn't, saying it was up to Blue Cross to interpret the insurance contract. But last month, after CNN requested an explanation, state officials suddenly changed their position. They now say they've decided to ask Blue Cross to pay the Listmans' medical bills after all. But it's still unclear whether Blue Cross will actually do so, whether it will now return the money it took from Dr. Guajardo and Mrs. Listman's other doctors, and whether it will continue to claim that ending the pregnancy of a mother carrying a brainless baby is a voluntary procedure. If that had happened to you,
I would have died without pain.
Ironically, when doctors terminated Janet Ramirez's anencephalic pregnancy, it was paid by the taxpayers through Medicaid. So was Teresa Salazar's.
The people who can't afford to go down with cash in hand or with insurance in hand can have it done for free at the taxpayer's expense. And yet people who work and pay for insurance can't have it done. Sounds ridiculous.
But that's what happened.
Maybe I ought to quit working, huh? Stand in line.
Mark Feldstein, CNN, Special Assignment.
If you would like to write the Special Assignment staff, the address is Post Office Box 2727, Atlanta, Georgia 30301. Still ahead, Vice President Dan Quayle takes on a television mom.
Karen McGinnis, CNN Weather, and when we come back, we'll tell you about the big thunderstorms rumbling across Texas once again. There could be trouble. Also, some of the nation did see some record high temperatures. We'll tell you where when CNN's Prime News continues.
He's in Manhattan on Wednesday, Frankfurt on Thursday, Paris, Rome, and Vienna after that. He believes it's better to do business across a table than over a fax machine. This year, he'll fly more than 100,000 miles with us because he knows nobody understands him better than we do. At Delta, when we say we love to fly and it shows, this is where it shows.
To explore American history, all you need is a map of Virginia. Route 460, Appomattox. Interstate 64, Monticello. And southeast of Richmond, down the same road, there's Colonial Williamsburg, Yorktown, and Jamestown. But now, if you like your history to go back even further, take Route 702, left of the big tree, walk about 50 feet, and listen. Call for your free Virginia Vacation Guide.
Here's something everyone worries about when flying, whether their carry-on luggage will fit.
Could you put this in the overhead compartment? How about under the seat?
So at Samsonite, we've designed carry-ons you truly can carry on, like our garment bag and suitcase in one, packed with features that make things easier to pack. At Samsonite, we'll never leave you holding the bag, proving once again that our strengths are legendary.
Fingerman here for the one and only Ziploc. Something fishy going on in your refrigerator? Nothing works like Ziploc brand storage bags. Ziploc has the Gripper Zipper, the only bag with tough, tiny teeth. You can feel it dripping, so you know freshness is locked in, odor is locked out. That's a good feeling you only get from Ziploc. Sorry I had to point fingers there, fella. For fresh food, there's only one, Ziploc.
What does the TV sitcom Murphy Brown have to do with the Los Angeles riots? Just asked Vice President Dan Quayle during a speech today in San Francisco. Quayle blamed the riots on the disintegration of the family unit, brought about in part by Hollywood.
It doesn't help matters when primetime TV has Murphy Brown, a character who supposedly epitomizes today's intelligent, highly paid professional woman, mocking the importance of fathers by bearing a child alone and calling it just another lifestyle choice. I know it's not fashionable to talk about moral values, but we need to do it.
Murphy Brown creator and executive producer Diane English responds in a written statement, quote, "If the vice president thinks it's disgraceful for an unmarried woman to bear a child, and if he believes that a woman cannot adequately raise a child without a father, then he had better make sure abortion remains safe and legal," end quote. Moving on to Texas and storms and the weather. Here's Karen McGinnis.
Susan, up until just about a week or so ago, Texas really was rather dry. As a matter of fact, many sections of the Midwest and the upper Mississippi River Valley and the northern Great Plains and into the Rockies were seeing some dry conditions. But now we've seen this very perpetual weather system, an area of low pressure just kind of spinning in the atmosphere across north central Texas. But that now does show some signs of weakening and moving to the north. But you can see the activity along a weakening frontal system across the southeast and lots of activity across Texas. As a matter of fact, earlier today near San Antonio, heavy amounts of rainfall there barricaded some roadways, and there were some reports of some low water areas, so that made it for dangerous traveling. We're seeing some thunder showers and thunderstorms rock sections of Athens, Georgia with 35-mile-an-hour winds, Fort Worth and San Antonio, and even in Beaufort, South Carolina and Paducah, Kentucky. In through the west, mostly scattered activity across northern California and in through sections of Montana. Douglas, Arizona is picking up a thunder shower as we speak. Across the northern Great Plains, you've got one more day of temperatures about 20 degrees above normal, but we did see Sheridan, Wyoming at 92 degrees. Billings, Montana made it to 92, and we thought Rapid City would. They made it to about 92 degrees. Don't know if that was a record or not, but you're looking at temperatures across the southeast, generally speaking, in the 80s. Rapid City comes close to 90 degrees, 81 in Atlanta, and 79 for Chicago. Wednesday morning's weather picture, we've still got this flow in through across Texas and Oklahoma and the central Mississippi River Valley. Could see some isolated showers along that weakening weather system in the southeast. But this is going to pull in some much cooler air, and then by Wednesday afternoon, that frontal system moves further across the Canadian border states and into the plains. So you may see some of these hit-and-miss scattered showers. You can't exactly predict where they're going to be because this is the typical pattern for springtime. And then by Thursday morning's weather picture, finally the frontal system moves across the plains states. Temperatures drop rather dramatically back to near seasonable levels. However, this monsoonal flow will continue up into the Four Corners, and that's why places like Phoenix and Arizona and Fort Huachuca, you could see those isolated showers as well. Quick look at Alaska, Hawaii, and the Caribbean. Well, for San Juan, you're looking at thunderstorms in 86. Now these forecasts. CNN's Prime News continues now with Susan Brooke.
Karen, thank you. Coming up, from Cold War to drug war, we'll explain when Prime News continues.
At Sears Brand Central, you can always count on quality, great prices, and people like me. I'm Mike Foster, and right now, our once-a-year Carnival Values event means great savings on hundreds of items.
Here's just a few examples. This 100-watt Sony rack stereo system with CD player. Count on saving $100. Or get this LXI low-light camcorder with additional accessories. At $799.88, it's never been priced lower.
And there's much more, so hurry. This once-a-year event ends Saturday.
Introducing the new Jeep. With an all-new four-wheel drive system and exclusive standard driver's side airbag. No other vehicle gives you so much latitude.
Prime
Prime News continues, followed by Larry King Live after this local commercial break. Next on CNN.
Beginning Saturday, two of NASCAR's premier races, back-to-back. The circuit's hottest drivers, bumper to bumper. First, Bill Elliott goes for his first ever Grand National title at the Champion Sparkplug 300. Then, it's the main event. Davey Allison puts his #1 Winston Cup standing on the line at the Coca-Cola 600. The Champion Sparkplug 300 Saturday and the Coca-Cola 600 Sunday. Live beginning at 1 Eastern Saturday, exclusively on TBS.
I don't know how to say, words, what's the word? It's not coming out right.
It's easier done than said. Let someone know you're thinking about them. Call 1-800-FLOWERS. Our name is our number. We'll deliver beautiful flowers anywhere to anyone, guaranteed. All you need is a credit card and a telephone for FTD service.
1-800-FLOWERS. Carol Lee speaking.
Yeah, if you would...
Call 1-800-FLOWERS for all your special occasions.
This is CNN.
A baggage handler speaks out on the suitcase bomb that exploded aboard Pan Am Flight 103. The signatures of support keep coming in for H. Ross Perot, who still hasn't announced his candidacy, and inner city youngsters learn about pulling themselves up by their bootstraps. These stories are coming up, but first, Pentagon officials have long resisted the idea of using U.S. military forces to fight the drug war in this country. They argue the military should not be ordered to take action against U.S. citizens. Well, now a drug operation in Florida has taken the military one step closer to such intervention. CNN's John Zarella has that.
Police officers in Hallandale, Florida, check out an abandoned liquor store used by drug addicts.
This is typically used as a crack house. You'll see lots of lighters around and cans.
Outside, a small army of men and equipment wait to move in. And in this case, the Army is indeed involved. Members of the U.S. 2nd Army Engineers Reserve Unit out of Georgia are assisting the city in demolition of 7 known crack dens.
Kilo 46, Kilo 54.
For the Army, this provides an opportunity to train for the military's expanding role in fighting drug trafficking.
The Army is involved in this operation because it provides mission-essential training for our soldiers, and it provides support to the community in the community's counter-drug efforts.
For several years now, the military has been involved in the U.S. effort to combat drug trafficking. But most of that work has been in surveillance and support of domestic and overseas operations. This is the first time the military has been actively involved in bringing down the house on drug dealers and users. Utilizing federal troops saves the local government a bunch of money.
We've had estimates from as low as $35,000 to $75,000 to accomplish this. If it wasn't for the participant of the U.S. government, we would be doing it with local taxpayer money.
Military officials say they expect their direct involvement in the drug battle to increase nationwide. And this new mission is one way for the Pentagon to justify its budget. John Zarella, CNN, Miami.
The Pentagon is warning that the Haitian refugee problem is getting worse. Coast Guard video shows Saturday's rescue of about 300 Haitians trying to flee their homeland, crammed aboard a small boat. This weekend alone, more than 2,400 refugees were picked up and then taken to the U.S. base at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba.
We have had personnel on the ship say they've rescued the same person 2 and 3 times. They go to the Guantanamo Bay, they get interviewed by INS, and then INS gives the Coast Guard the word on who gets returned to Haiti. We load the ships up and repatriate them. And we have had personnel say that the people are being rescued or taken off the sailboats for the 2nd and 3rd time.
The Pentagon says the base at Guantanamo Bay is almost full and officials are considering what to do next. In a New York courtroom today, testimony focused on the bomb that brought down Pan Am Flight 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland. CNN's Brian Jenkins has the latest on the suit brought by family members of the crash victims.
270 people died in the bombing of a Pan Am jumbo jet over Lockerbie, Scotland, and most of the victims' families blamed the airline for lax security. Attorneys for the families suing Pan Am claimed the radio containing the bomb was packed in a suitcase, placed on a flight from the Mediterranean island of Malta, and then transferred in Frankfurt, Germany to Pan Am Flight 103, bound for London, then New York. The U.S. government has backed up that scenario and accuses 2 Libyans of sending the bomb on its way from Malta. Now, for the first time since the lawsuit went on trial in New York 3 weeks ago, there's been testimony to back up the Malta connection, and it came from this man, Gunter Castelliner, a baggage supervisor for the Frankfurt airport. He told the jury that based on 2 documents, it was his conclusion that a bag from Air Malta Flight 180 was sent by conveyor belt on the day in question to be loaded onto Pan Am 103. One of the documents was a log sheet showing a bag brought in from the Air Malta flight and placed on tray number 8849. The other document was a computer printout listing all luggage delivered to the Pan Am flight, including a bag carried in tray number 8849. Families involved in the lawsuit are under orders from the judge not to comment on the case, but they seemed relieved to finally hear the Malta connection confirmed in court. But lawyers for the families must still establish that the bag containing the bomb, if it came off an Air Malta flight, was unaccompanied, and that Pan Am displayed willful misconduct in failing to match the bag up with a passenger. Pan Am went out of business last year, but its insurer could still be forced to pay off. The insurance company's attorney argues the Frankfurt baggage supervisor can't be certain a suitcase from Malta was put on the Pan Am flight, and that no one but the terrorists may ever know how the bomb got on board. Brian Shankin, CNN, New York.
Still ahead on Prime News, primary voters in Washington State and Oregon go to the polls. We'll have analysis on the issues there from CNN's political analyst Bill Schneider. Stay tuned.
Here's an opportunity to receive a free copy of William F. Buckley's controversial essay, In Search of Anti-Semitism.
When you get National Review, you'll have news and opinion you can't find anywhere else. A National Review gives you insights into current events and information about important issues from a decidedly different set of priorities.
Call this toll-free number now and we'll send you free William F. Buckley's controversial essay, In Search of Anti-Semitism. For a trial subscription to National Review, call 1-800-257-1257.
Tonight on Sports Tonight, a study in courage and character for a woman athlete. Plus, the next step in the NBA playoffs Eastern style, and you could win the adventure trip of a lifetime. Tonight, 11 o'clock Eastern on Sports Tonight.
I'll have a McLean Deluxe and a frozen yogurt.
And I'll have a Big Mac and small fries.
You know, you get the same thing every time. Come on, live a little. They have chef salad, filet of fish, chicken fajitas. Life's too short. Get a mint and get in the game, for Pete's sake.
Okay, I'll have a Big Mac and a large fry.
You're a wild man.
What you want is what you get.
Different tastes for different tastes. That's McDonald's. Today.
Manolo. With just his hands, he does the impossible. And with him, there's Sector. Sector. No limits.
Thanks to an incredible new development at Pip Printing, you can now get these 4-color jobs for surprisingly few of these 1-color jobs. Full process color. One more reason Pip Printing's the biggest business printer in the world.
H. Ross Perot's backers in Florida are calling this their Super Tuesday. Today they presented petitions to election boards around the state to get Perot's name on the presidential ballot in Florida. CNN's Brian Cabell looks at the possible independent candidate support in the South.
One nation, under God. Perot supporters pledged allegiance to the flag Tuesday before turning in their petitions to the Board of Elections in Titusville, Florida. Statewide, the campaign says it filed about 230,000 signatures in a state where only about 60,000 are needed to get Perot on the ballot. In North Carolina, Perot organizers say their grassroots campaign can barely handle the flood of petition signatures.
It's not where we're calling people coming to sign. They're looking for us.
State law here requires about 71,000 valid signatures to put Perot on the ballot. Perot supporters claim they've collected about 300,000 signatures, more than 4 times what is needed.
Yeah, this is probably the most petitions we've ever had turned in at one time for any kind of candidacy.
Mecklenburg County, which includes Charlotte, has had to hire several part-time workers to handle the increased workload. At Perot State headquarters in suburban Charlotte, optimism reigns supreme.
I think this time we're going to set some history in this nation, and I'm prepared to be part of that. I'm pretty excited about it.
Come in and sign. We need signatures. Come on in, you.
In Georgia, Perot supporters say their campaign, now 6 weeks old, just recently hit high gear. Only 28,000 signatures are needed here. Perot supporters claim they have more than 60,000. 90,000 is their goal. State headquarters is a modest, un-air-conditioned office in Atlanta, staffed by enthusiastic unprofessionals.
We just take anybody off the street that has an extra minute and has it in their heart to help us. 100% grassroots.
The petition signers, though, aren't necessarily fervent supporters of Perot.
I've been voting Republican for many years and voted for a few Democrats, and I personally feel right now that neither side has anything to offer.
I don't see any way of doing any worse in this country. I really don't. I think it'll be a breath of fresh air.
Whatever the reason, simple protest or Perot himself, the petitions are filling up, and this still undeclared candidacy continues to gain momentum. The next important day for Perot is Thursday in Kentucky, where the unannounced candidate himself will personally deliver all the petitions there to the Secretary of State. Brian Cabell, CNN, Atlanta.
2 western states are weighing in with their preferences for president. Primaries are being held today in Oregon and Washington State. President Bush and Bill Clinton are expecting easy wins. Mr. Bush already has a lock on the GOP nomination, and Clinton has more than 80% of the delegates needed for the Democratic nomination. To get a feel for what's going on in the minds of voters in Oregon, we're joined by public opinion analyst and expert Bill Schneider. Bill, the folks in Oregon have always been just a little bit different in their voting patterns. Is that holding true?
Well, the folks in Oregon are known as Mavericks. They've had a lot of colorful Mavericks in their history. They voted for Michael Dukakis, one of the few western states who did in 1988. They have a woman governor, 2 moderate Republican senators. A lot of Americans watched a television series called Twin Peaks that was filmed in the Pacific Northwest, a neighboring state of Washington. That kind of quirky Maverick quality seems to be characteristic of Oregon politics.
So what's the mood of these Mavericks?
Well, they're in a very bad mood. They're very angry. They're mad Mavericks. We asked them in our exit poll, do you think that the government is run for the benefit of all the people? And when we asked that question of Democrats, among Democratic primary voters, look at this, 88% disagreed. They did not think the government is run for all the people. And here we can see among Republicans, you're also getting very strong disagreement. 77% of Republicans, even though the president is a Republican, say the government is not run for all the people. They're in many ways like voters around the country. They're in a surly mood and they're fed up.
Yeah, I was just going to say the anger seems pretty much in line with the mood of a lot of voters. How will that translate into the election?
Well, what we're finding is that the angry voters seem to have a taste for Ross Perot as a candidate. For instance, we found something remarkable in our exit polls. We asked the Democratic voters their opinion, whether they had a favorable or unfavorable opinion of various candidates, and these are Democrats now, and you can see that the view of Clinton and Perot is about equally favorable. Now, these are hardcore Democrats. These are primary voters, and they actually seem to like Ross Perot maybe a bit more than Bill Clinton, their own frontrunner. We asked the same question of Republican primary voters, again a hardcore group, and look at this. Republican primary voters in Oregon are equally favorable to Bush and to Ross Perot. In another question, Susan, we asked, how would you vote in November if the election were between Perot, Bush, and Clinton? And again, remarkably, the Democrats are closely divided between Perot and Clinton. Perot does about as well as Clinton, and Republicans are only slightly more favorable to Bush than to Perot. Perot does very well in both parties among these hardcore partisan voters. Something is going on out there.
And yet, this isn't the final decision, and I've got to ask you, because there's a big difference between the primary and someone putting their name on a petition or answering a poll and actually electing a president.
Well, that's right. Eventually, Ross Perot is going to be scrutinized as a potential president. Views about Ross Perot could change, but at the moment, he is the physical expression of voter anger out there among all these people who are fed up. They finally found a candidate, and he's showing up very strongly because of all that anger.
Oregon is a neighbor of California. The riots in Los Angeles, did that show up in the primary today?
Well, we asked voters about the issues that were on their minds, and we found that race relations was a very minor issue. Very few Democrats or Republican primary voters in Oregon, neighboring to California, mentioned race relations, and law and order did not show up as a major issue among Republican primary voters, certainly not compared with the economy, deficit, and corruption. Those were the major issues on the voters' minds. But we do see some interesting differences between Republicans and Democrats. For instance, we asked them, what made you more angry in the Rodney King case? Was it the verdict or the violence? Among Democrats, as we see here, there was some edge. More Democrats were angry about the King verdict than about the violence. However, when we asked the question of Republican primary voters in Oregon, we find that by a very big margin, they said they were more angry about the violence than about the King verdict. Things could be different 2 weeks from now when we have the big primary day in California. Those voters experience the rioting, the violence firsthand, and the impact in California could be a good deal greater.
All right, Bill Schneider, public opinion expert and analyst. Always a pleasure. Thank you. Coming up on Prime News. They used to roam the Texas plains in the millions. Now, experts are fighting to save this chicken from extinction.
Welcome to Hotel Views, the summer getaway. Holiday Inn or Ramada? Bob?
Thank you. Susan, you heat rash. At Holiday Inn, you get a place to eat, a place to sleep, and a place to swim. Come on, it's a perfect vacation.
Bob, you compost heap. Ramada's got great rooms, nice restaurants, and refreshing pools, just like Holiday, but at a better price. And now with Ramada's summer sale, you and the family can get away for as low as $39 a night. You could save enough to buy some breath mints. There's no debate. Ramada's in, Holiday's out.
You could ease up a little.
Table for two in about 5 minutes. Mr. Douglas, I have your table.
But you're not gonna. You could stop being a perfectionist. But you're not gonna. You're not gonna change because of heartburn, and you don't have to. There's something new that's like no ordinary antacid. New Malox Heartburn Relief. It stops the burning and helps keep it from coming back. So get on with life like you're gonna live it. New Malox Heartburn Relief is made for you.
Car and Driver magazine declared its road manners are in the import vein, but comfort is better. And if you're wondering what else they had to say about the new Oldsmobile 88 Royale, call 1-800-332-OLDS. We'll send you their complete test drive evaluation on video cassette, free. Because when Car and Driver says the new 88 has hit the elusive style mark, it deserves more of your time than we can give it here. Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering.
Uncle Ben's has always started with the best rice around. Then, unlike ordinary rice, we steam it to seal in the natural nutrients. So Uncle Ben's converted bran rice is separate, not sticky. Perfect every time. Uncle Ben's really does make a difference.
Big news. All Goodyear Eagles are on sale now. Save big on every Goodyear Eagle Performance Radial. Act fast and you'll see why we say the best tires in the world and in your neighborhood have Goodyear written all over them.
Authorities are reporting a zoo heist in Luxahatchee, Florida. They say thieves stole 5 ostrich chicks that were less than a month old. The birds were taken from an incubator at Lion Country Safari, and officials at the animal theme park say the chicks need special feeding and treatment or they may die. The zoo is posting a $500 reward for the chicks. In tonight's Earth Matters report, experts at a Texas wildlife preserve are battling to save an endangered species called Atwater's prairie chicken. CNN's Mike Capps reports the birds are threatened by a loss of native habitat along the Texas coast and severe weather conditions.
The Atwater's prairie chicken is in trouble. 90 years ago, more than 1 million of these birds existed on grassy coastal prairies south and west of Houston. Texas banned hunting this member of the grouse family 55 years ago. Industry expansion claimed the bird's habitat. Now, only about 450 exist. Wildlife officials fear recent floods may have killed new chicks.
The species can be saved. It only takes a willingness of everybody involved to find a way.
Fossil Rim Wildlife Center, 100 miles southwest of Dallas, is home to dozens of species of exotic animals on public display. Now, away from public scrutiny, aviary experts quietly work to save Atwater's prairie chicken. In April, Texas wildlife experts transferred 49 eggs from the Texas coastal prairie to Fossil Rim. 32 survived so far and received full-time attention.
We've lost some, but in comparison to what the survival rate in the wild is, we're doing real good.
Almost no research exists on Atwater's prairie chickens, so aviary experts study breeding habits of a relative, the greater prairie chicken.
We're having to go through and learn on a daily basis what kind of problems we're going to be expecting in the future.
These Atwater's chicks will not be returned to their native habitat. Those surviving will form part of a captive breeding family. Wildlife experts hope to return some offspring to the Gulf Coast to rebuild the species within 3 to 4 years.
There are some estimates that suggest that in the next 10 years or so, the birds could be gone if something drastic doesn't happen. But I think we're right on track here.
Fossil Rim officials asked for a $138,000 grant from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to fund the effort. They've received no money yet.
This project is too critical to drop at this point, so we're going to go ahead and do it this year.
Now, Fish and Wildlife officials say they'll send $25,000. Although it's not as much as Wildlife Preserve officials asked for, they say it'll help as they try to save a species. Mike Capps, CNN, Glen Rose, Texas.
Still ahead on Prime News, we'll tell you about a man who helps children put one foot in front of the other in a violent Washington neighborhood.
Anybody know what a tack hammer is?
Enhance the beauty and value of your home by adding an attractive and functional new living space from Four Seasons. With prices starting at just $29.90 plus installation, there's a Four Seasons sunroom to fit every house, every purpose, and every budget. And now all Four Seasons sunrooms and solariums are available at affordable prices. Call now for more information or request a copy of our latest brochure. When it comes to quality, trust your home to Four Seasons and enjoy the finest in outdoor living indoors.
Viper armed. Protected by Viper. Stand back.
Viper. No one dares come close.
For a brochure and a dealer in your area, call 1-800-365-2272.
Is that a new dispatcher?
Dad, she was here the last time you checked up on me.
So those Rollins guys, they still trying to steal our drivers?
Well, I think I got that under control. My Payne Weber guy set up a 401k. It's a pension plan, so obviously the longer a driver stays...
That must be costing a bundle.
Well, it costs a lot less than constantly breaking in new men.
How does a stockbroker know that you've been having trouble keeping drivers?
He asked.
Statistically, the most dangerous place for a woman is in her own home with the man that she loves. Giving power to the powerless. Help for battered women tomorrow on Sonia Live, 1 p.m. Eastern, only on CNN.
There have been 15 murders this year in a neighborhood near the nation's Capitol buildings. It's an area with lots of problems and little hope, but one man is providing children with some solutions. CNN's John Holloman reports.
Anybody know what a tack hammer is? Tack hammer.
John Matthews teaches children in his neighborhood to repair shoes. He grew up here with a stutter so severe he was lumped with learning disabled youngsters. But Matthews pulled himself up by his bootstraps, learned to trade, and in 1977 decided to pass it on for free. His first students were convicted juvenile offenders.
Before people could pronounce or could even spell entrepreneurship, you know, we started entrepreneurship programs inside the Peterborough Shoe Repair Academy.
Peter Bug, it's a family nickname, says he teaches young hustlers who once worked for drug dealers the new hustle.
If you have people in your family that wear shoes, and if they take them to somebody else and they make the money, you can bring those shoes to the Peterborough Shoe Repair Academy. You pay for the cost of material, and you can charge your family members whatever they pay downtown.
His new hustlers earn $25 to $50 a day.
It's more like a big brother, lean on me type program. If you have a problem, anything,
you can always run and talk to Mr. Matthews.
He recruits 10 and 11-year-olds who swarm around him learning lessons of life.
He teaches us how to respect our elders and have respect for other people and say thank you.
Don't be real bad in school and you come up out of school. And if you be real bad, he'll make you do 100 push-ups.
Children like these might be discarded like worn-out shoes. But just as he does with old shoes, Peter Bug polishes youngsters, perhaps saving souls while repairing souls.
It helps keep them off the street and busy doing something positive.
Some of the people who learned shoe repair here back in the 70s are now professional athletes and community leaders. And 150 of Peter Bug's graduates are actually doing shoe repair around the country. One of the things that they all agree on today is that what they learned here was much more than how to fix shoes.
And what we do is take this half mark and put it across the shoe because this is our what? Trademark. What is this? Trademark. Trademark.
Like most of the boys here, Matthew's father was not around much as he was growing up. His motivation is giving these youngsters a male role model.
I can give them some of that fatherly love that I didn't receive from my father, and I know how it is. I can make their day a little pleasant with some kind of father image or some kind of grown man's image in front of their life. I'm happy.
Matthews wants to do more, but says no foundation has been willing to help. To raise money, he and his friends sell barbecue and record songs. John Holloman, CNN, Washington.
One person can make a difference. Thank you for joining us for Prime News from CNN Center in Atlanta. I'm Susan Rook. Larry King Live is up next tonight. A look at whether Los Angeles police officer Lawrence Powell can get a fair trial in his retrial in the Rodney King beating case. Stay tuned.
Coming up, Larry King Live, followed by World News after a word from your local cable system here on CNN.
Here's Johnny Carson.
Did you hear about the other guys selling cars wholesale? They have holes in the upholstery, holes in the tires. All they need is customers with holes in their heads.
Why pay more at the imitators who pretend to be competitors? At Hayes Mitsubishi, we do it right. With prices of only $289 per month for this sporty 92 Montero. That's impressive. Did those other guys leave you with a good impression?
Ha! Wrong catalytic converter, Brett. Only Hayes Mitsubishi does it right.
Come to Jade Palace for the all-you-can-eat Super Deluxe Chinese buffet featuring fried rice, vegetable lo mein, house chicken wings, egg rolls, vegetable delight, green pepper steak, 5-flavor chicken, mugu gai pan, sesame chicken, and much more, prepared by a genuine Chinese chef. For dinner, choose from all those items, plus beef chow chow, sweet and sour shrimp, 4-season flavor seafood, and crab rangoons. Jade Palace is open for lunch 11 to 2:30 daily and opens for dinner each evening at 4:30. Jade Palace, 2719 Old Lebanon Road at Donaldson Plaza.
It's the final week of the exciting going out of business sale at Green Hills Oriental Rugs. You have just 1 week to save 65 to 70% on Oriental rugs from around the world. And during their last week, Green Hills Oriental Rugs will save you literally thousands of dollars on hundreds of Oriental rugs that will add lasting value to your home. There is just 1 week left, and you can't afford to miss this incredible investment opportunity. So hurry to the final week of the going out of business sale at Green Hills Oriental Rugs.
When you think of quality custom picture framing, the first name in Nashville is The Frame Place. The Frame Place has an experienced, qualified staff to help you select the perfect combination of mat and frame. 3 convenient locations: Green Hills in the H.G. Hill Center, Donaldson Plaza in Donaldson, and Highway 70 and 100 in Belle Meade.
This is CNN.
Welcome to Larry King Live. Tonight, an officer who beat Rodney King faces a new trial. But will he get fair treatment in L.A.? Can justice be blind when not guilty verdicts spark this kind of violence? Plus, was it backstabbing and dirty tricks, or a terrible lie about a top American business? Charges that a major firm ran a smear campaign to destroy a rival.